All right. So we are on our YouTube channel. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. I'm Raymond Falabomo, um, the country director for Wings for Life International, and I'm here today with Reverend Mevina for who will be talking about parenting. Let me give her the chance to better introduce herself. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? It is a pleasure to be here with everyone and you as well. Thank you for inviting me on your show, Dr. Bombo. I wanted to, it's a pleasure to be here. I've seen a couple people on here, one of them being my mentor, Enoli Foti. She's out of Angola, Africa, and
Yeah.
she's a really big, she's been a very big inspiration for me. I am in the US. I am a metaphysical minister. I'm also a life coach and counselor, holistic life coach and counselor. I also work in the areas of art therapy, meditation therapy, as well as I am also a master Reiki and also an art therapist. I think I said that already though, but I'm not sure. And I'm
Sure.
also a doctoral student for holistic healing as well at the University of Metaphysics.
Oh, great, great! Wow, it's a great opportunity meeting a person like you,
Thank
and
you.
I'm glad to have you on our show.
Thank
So, we're going to make it a little more interactive. Like I said, can you just tell me a little more about the kind of work you are involved with before we can dive into our topic?
Sure. I literally work with my mainstream of working with is women, and I work in the areas of healing the heart,
Oh,
working through depression, anxiety, trauma, um, abuse of women that have had to deal with that. You know, sometimes your trauma starts from childhood, and we don't
mhm.
know why we react the way that we do, and there are certain different modalities to help others to get out. I wrote a book about my life's journey because that's exactly how I understood everything. As far as cognitive behavioral therapy, um, I learned it from my own healing because I went to a when I was going through my own depression and my dark night of the soul. I realized that being with the psychiatrist at the time wasn't helping me because they were just telling me what I did wrong. They weren't helping me figure out why I did what I did. And they wanted to put me on medication. So I knew then after a 12-hour stay in a psych ward, that's not where I need to be. So for me, I want to be able to help other women on their journey because we've held on traumas from childhood. We've held on to traumas from our parents, our grandparents, unbeknowing, that things that aren't healed. So it is my goal to help others, not just particularly women, although that is one of my main areas, but everyone to come out of those areas and be able to talk about what happened so they can heal. One of the things is, like I mentioned, art therapy. That's part of cognitive behavioral therapy because it'll help you understand some of the things that you do and
Mhm.
why you do them. And a lot of things that we don't realize we've had we've kind of like pushed down, and we've decided in order we're in a fight or flight mode. So we've it's like the trauma is there, but we've kind of like buried it because we don't want to deal with it. But the thing about it is it affects us in so many different ways, mentally, physically, spiritually. It affects our relationships, it affects our parenting, it affects everything in our life. So that is a huge deal for me to be able to help others to unravel those things in their life.
Wow, that is incredible. You are doing a pressless job. Wow, what a heart. No, so so I just like what you said about childhood trauma. Like we deal with people of such like the children. We talk about PTSD. Sometimes we talk about ACEs. That's adverse childhood experiences. And I know what it means to be a child and you are tangled or entangled with abuser. Sometimes you got a parent who is abusive, and a lot more. So now that we are here, I would love to hear more about parenting. You know, our followers, most of them are adults. You know,
Mhm.
and they have family to raise, and I think with your experience, they can learn a lot more, including myself.
Well, thank you. Well, being 54, I learned a lot. Um, I didn't realize, every culture has their own way of how parenting should be. But at the end of the day, I really believe that all trauma is the same, all pain is the same, all hurt is the same. And if it's not addressed in a person when they're younger, it transfers to that child. So that's where the generational curses or generational traumas come from, shall I say. I don't want to say curse. Um, it's a trauma that's carried on and passed on. So we're we're taught to believe a certain way. We're taught to, this is how we were raised, so we believe that's the way our parents, or we should train our parents, or this is the way we should train our children
Mhm.
to come up. And I realized as I became older, and now my son is 31, I look at some of the things and how that I raised him, and I see his children and how he's raising his children, and I'm going, oh, I messed up. I didn't know I messed up though. We don't realize it until we become that grandparent, that elder, and we're like, well, that's not right. But how do you tell a child? How do you tell your grown adult child now that I did that wrong? I could have done it differently. And then at the same time, if you don't even realize within yourself that you had traumas within you, you use the excuses of, okay, well, that's just how it was back then, and then that's not helping yourself. It's not helping your child. It's not helping your grandchildren. So it comes in where we as a people, as a culture, as a whole, as oneness, we need to realize that even children have traumas. We need to realize that sometimes children that are born into that from a parent, a mother who's holding in trauma, if that mother is carrying that trauma in her while she's carrying that child is born with that trauma of
Mhm.
that unhealed, um, whatever it was that was unhealed in the mother, whatever was unhealed in that father, that child now has it. So we tend to think that when the child is young and they're acting out and they're screaming and yelling, they can have temper tantrums or whatever, that we're supposed to spank them or discipline in them some type of way, and we're not really realizing that they're acting out something that was within us that we never addressed. So it can still be changed. It can still be addressed. If you can catch it before you have a child, even better. But even if you catch it as the child is growing up and you realizing your own mistakes and you heal, when you heal, that child heals. If that child heals, that generational trauma no longer goes. So now, what just happened? Okay, now when I look at my son, 31, and I see how he's raising his children. I have had so many moments in my life now after my healing and even doing some more healing that I look and go, wow.
Hmm.
And it really tears into me. So now over the last probably 5 years maybe, I've done a lot of soul searching. I've had conversations with my son where I've apologized because I'm like, you know what? That wasn't right. I should have done it this way. This is the trauma that I was going through. I didn't understand it at the time. So many times going back around. You never know how many times you have to go back around that circle until you get all of it out of you. You just never know what traumas from your own childhood that caused you to be the way you were. With
Mhm.
my son, he is now married and excuse me, he's now married, but it was tumultuous in the beginning of his marriage with me, him, and his wife, because she's coming from a different way of being raised. He's coming from the way I raised him, and my own traumas that were transferred into him, her traumas that were transferred on her mother. So this is what you're getting. This
Hmm.
is completely tumultuous. Everyone's angry. Everyone, I'm feeling like his wife is being the trying to be the mother. She feels like I'm trying to be the wife. We're both, he's in the middle of this tug of war, but yet he's trying to he's trying to satisfy his wife and yet not upset his mother at the same time. And he
Mhm.
still has to deal with his own traumas. So now you have a powder keg.
Wow.
Someone has to be the bigger person in all of this. It goes in stages. And if you can catch it early enough, and this has to come from us, even as the elders, if we can see ourselves in our children and be like, oh, wait, hold on. That's me all day. That's me. I see that. I see it. And talk it out. Find out, first of all, where is this coming from me that I see in this child? Address it for yourself first. Heal for yourself first. And then talk to your child and say, you know what? I messed up. We are the adults. We should be adult enough to say, I could have done this better with you. You know, yes, we did the best we could in whatever circumstances we all had. And some children understand that, but some children are right now, especially now, they're angry because they don't understand. Nothing makes any sense because the parent is trying to figure out life and the child is out there lost. So they're just trying to figure it out and they have no one to go to because everyone's stuck in their own, you know, everyone forgot about the village that it takes to raise a child.
Mhm.
That for some reason it doesn't exist like that anymore, and we fell off. We all fell off. I'm guilty of it. We were all got caught up in our own dramas, and we forgot we're in this together, no matter where we are, whether it's in the United States, whatever affects Africa, whatever affects Europe, whatever affects China, whatever affects Hawaii, it affects all of us. This is not just something, okay, well, they can deal with that. That's their problem. No, it's a whole problem because that's why the Creator has us on here. We're here to heal, we're here to grow, and we're here to be the seeds and the plants for the next generation so we can get back to love, basically.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, yes, like you rightly said, with your experience, raising your son,
Mhm.
and if we were to compare that with other parents that have experienced ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences,
Mhm.
and they grew up raising their own children, and they still carries that trauma within them.
Mhm.
I think it needs to be healed, like you are rightly saying it. Other than that, that trauma is going to be transferred to their children.
Yes.
So how do you think, uh, as a parent, you can deal with such issue? How can you get that healing so that it won't be transferred to your child and become a generational, problem, so to speak?
Mhm. First of all, we need to take away the stigma of the word therapy, of the word psychiatrist, psychologist, of the word counselor. You know, I think the only word right now that anyone is halfway willing to accept is life coach. But all of those titles are where we are. We need these different genres in order for everyone to try to heal. But we need to also understand that there are a lot more modalities out there that help us. It's not just counseling, psychiatry, psychologists. You know, you do have art therapists. You do have spiritual healers. Out there, it all works in congruent with each other. And I believe that once we get out of the mindset of realizing it's not a bad thing to get the healing, to get to talk to someone to help you figure out, why is this happening in my family? How do I end this generational trauma? Someone has to be the bigger person. Someone has to stand up and say, okay, this ends with me. And sometimes unfortunately, it may not be the older person because they feel like they're too old to even remember half of the trauma they went through, or they feel like, okay, well, you're the next generation, you take it on. But at the same time, we're not realizing, put it like this: if you have a young adult and they figure out, okay, I'm over this, I'm ready to get past this, I'm ready to heal, If they made that choice, if the older parent decides not to, that's fine. But someone has to take the someone has to take the stand. But it takes someone to stand up and do it and be bold enough to say, "I need help. My family needs help. My children needs help. My parents need help. My grandparents, if they're still alive, need help." Because when you heal, you not only heal yourself, you heal your children, your seeds to come. You heal your grandparents, your parents, and you heal your ancestors. That's huge. That is
Mhm.
really huge. But it takes the mindset to say, okay, I know I need help. Let me figure out of all these different modalities, what can I use? What is for me? Because everything, one shoe doesn't fit everyone's foot.
Mhm.
Whereas someone may go to a psychiatrist, someone else may go to a shaman, someone else may go to an art therapist. It just depends on where you are and what fits with you. Because if you're suicidal, you may need to see a psychiatrist first to help you get past the mental situation so you can think clear. Then you can go to another type of therapist. But all of them work together.
Great, great, commendable. I love the answer you gave us, and I know our photos we absolutely benefit from that. So I just love the way you put it. All those titles, like yeah, like you listed counselor and therapist and all of that.
Mhm.
Just the name life coach. That alone heals the person that has that trauma, because many of us carry trauma, but we do not want to accept it that we are traumatized. We
Mhm.
think someone that's traumatized should be someone who is
Right.
yes. So because of that, we do not want to accept that. But realistically, everyone carries some sort of trauma. you
Exactly.
know so it's just like in the criminal justice system, whereas they refer to the convicts, the inmates, and all of those names that stigmatize, those people that are caught up in the web of the
Mhm.
criminal justice system. So one of the best word we use for people that are returning, we say returning citizens.
Yes.
Yes. So that alone makes them to feel accepted. You see, but
Mhm.
when you start to use those words that are harsh, that stigmatize them, then say, "Oh no, I'm a different person, so I don't need to be part of this group because I'm this." So I love that. That's commendable, and
Yes.
yeah, and that's how it should be. A life coach is more welcoming. You
Hmm.
can tell someone, "Yeah, I can coach you how you can go about with your life," and they will rather listening to you and giving you more audience than yeah.
Hmm.
So that's right. So great. So we're learning a lot from you today, and so basically we are on Wayne's on the air. This is a every Monday program that is now hosted in West Africa, Liberia specifically.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, by me, and sometimes I have my co-host, which is Pastor Abraham Lavla, but he's not on the show with me today.
Okay.
But I know he's gonna follow us. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the entire episode. So
Cool.
yeah. So thanks a lot. So I can you just elaborate more on on parenting, most especially those mothers that are single that do not have a husband or some relationship that will help them to cater to their children.
Hmm.
How what are some of the advices you can author that they can follow?
Being a single parent myself, I kind of understand that it's hard. Unless you have that strong background supporting you, there are a lot of things that you're gonna have to try to figure out on your own, and it can become fight or flight. Um, I would say a lot of the decisions that I made, I did it because I had literally had no choice. But it may have been like that because of other decisions that I made previously. Every if you throw the rock in the water, there's a ripple effect. So you have to kind of like go with the flow. Um, I would say be clear on your decisions. Don't don't become so desperate until you feel like you have to do certain things to become a part of certain things or to be included, because sometimes you may not need to be included in certain things because you're trying not only to protect yourself, but you're looking at this little one, and whatever you invite yourself into, there's the trauma right there. If it's trauma, that child is with you, they're going to endure it. Even if you are trying to hide it, you cannot hide trauma from a child. You may not talk about it, you may deal with it at another time, but those, our bodies are energy carriers. They
Mhm.
feel everything. You can't hide it. I don't care what you try to do. They're gonna know something's wrong. And if they're in the same vicinity of you, I'm sorry, they're gonna pick that energy up and they're gonna hold on to it. So if you need to seek help, please do by any means possible. Find someone to be an outlet. If anything, if nothing else, just so you can vent. Talking about your situation is always the best way to go. That's why we have psychologists and psychiatrists and we have therapists, not to tell you what you need to do. That's where sometimes they make mistakes in telling them what they need to do. No, sometimes the thing we don't understand is we all have the information inside of us in order to be guided if we're really paying attention. They're
Mhm.
here to help us take that information that's already clouding our brain, get it out so we can decipher what we need to hear and figure out what we need to do. That's basically what we're all here to do. We're all here to help you, each person, figure out what's the path, help them stop making the wrong decisions, help them be able to listen to themselves a lot more and not put themselves in those situations. So, as a single parent, a mother, looking at all the mistakes I made, I would say listen to yourself. Listen to that inner guidance. Listen to that intuition because it is strong. It is your best GPS system that you can ever have in life. It'll protect you, it'll protect your child, and sometimes it may be a lonely road. But when you become a parent, you're no longer, you don't belong to yourself anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That is commendable. Yes, that make a lot of sense, and that's true. As a single parent, you have to listen to yourself.
Mhm.
I tell people in most time, I tell them that you are the author of your own life. You
Yes,
can make yourself whatever you want to be. You know, you can
absolutely.
create yourself. Yeah. So that's true. You have to listen to your inside. You know, we all have something. Our conscious, can tell us when you are doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Mhm.
So that's true. And moreover, with your own experience, I think that's something that help you to heal through and make you to become a successful mother. Today, you are proud of a son that has his own family, and now you're a a grandmother, which
Yeah.
is a great thing. Yeah, that's awesome. I live in a country
Mhm.
where a lot of us suffer from issues, adversities. It's a very, very common thing in Africa,
Mhm.
most especially Liberia, because that's where I am. So let me speak about Liberia more. Uh, if you check statistic wise, I
Mhm.
mean, how people or faces adversities, you're going to find almost 90% of our population, yeah, goes through
Wow.
adversity. Yes, yes, it's a very serious situation here
Mhm.
coming out from food. Food insecurity is one of the key issues here. There is, yeah, a lot of people are jobless, and so most people, I mean, most children, you find them growing up and finding their own food. And when you cannot cater to your family,
Mhm.
that child or children go wayward. They
Mhm.
become vulnerable because they have to do everything for themselves.
That's true.
Here, yeah, here right now, if you go on the street, you find children between among the cars and they are selling. That's how they feed their family. They are finding food for their parents. you
Mm-hmm.
know. So if that child, if such a child grew up and become a parent, tell me what become of them, you know. So that they carries that trauma because they were young and carrying a burden that wasn't meant for them.
Right.
So it's,
Exactly.
yeah, it's actually a sad thing. And just like you said, you know, some of them will grow up and become good. Some, who knows? If I mean, most especially with the war on drugs, drugs is almost everywhere.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Most our country right now is covered by drugs in every villages. Yeah, so it's a very, very huge situation that we are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would just like to give you some instances where, as for me, I work in the criminal justice system
Mm-hmm.
because of our nonprofit that is attached to it, you know, and we go to the prison and we see a lot of young people
Mm-hmm.
that are incarcerated for little or nothing. Because they want to take drug, you know, or some of them are, I mean, they become responsible at a younger age,
Mm-hmm.
so they end up getting involved with crime so that they can feed themselves. And we need people like you that will keep talking and teaching people, you know, so that they can become, you know,
Mm-hmm.
employable, so that they can become productive citizens. So
Mm-hmm.
your role in society is very, very commendable, and I must applaud you for that. You know, yes. Thanks a million for what you are doing, and we look forward to keep working with you. We
Yes.
have a couple of mothers that will want to listen to you so that you can tell them how they can go about with their life and become successful. You know, yes. So if you have a little more to talk about, you can just, yeah, elaborate a little more.
Well, the one thing that you spoke on about, a lot of children are, you know, it just popped up in my head, and I know that's not always easy because getting access to things like that. But a lot of cultures, or especially here in the United States, it's not happening quite as fast as I would like to see it. But a lot of people are going back to the way life was when I was a kid. My dad, he had a farm. He kept a garden. I don't care where it was. If we were in a house, he had a garden in the backyard. If if we lived in an apartment complex where he couldn't garden, he found a lot somewhere where he bought the lot, and he raised whatever vegetables he could. It would be nice to have more of those community gardens. There are some places that have actually started it, but to do a community garden, it would help so many people in different villages and communities because, and again, just trying to get resources to people that will be able to do that, and then giving those same um passing that down to our children, so they don't feel
Mhm.
like they're not doing anything. They don't feel like they have to beg anyone. They're actually out there pruning they're growing their own vegetables and everything, and they're learning how to can the vegetables for cooking. And I've seen this in Asia, and they were little children, like little, they got little pots, and they're cooking kids as tall as my knee, like
Mhm.
literally out there with pots that are sitting on the ground or on this little thing with fire, and they're cooking the meals. And it's just amazing to see this little bitty kids, and I'm like, they can come cook me dinner. But so that's, for me, that's empowering to see little children like that. And it would be nice to be able to see so many. I'm like, if they can do it, I know even the country United States, it looks like we're prominent, but to hear what you're going through, and it reminds me of here. I think we're all going through it on some level, in different areas of our countries. um but it would be nice to just be able to give children something like that, instead of having them out on the streets in dangerous areas where they shouldn't have to be. They should be at home. If they know how to cook, that's giving them a sense of pride because they're helping their families, and they don't
Mhm.
have to struggle so much, and they feel like they're actually contributing, and they're actually healthy and happy. Because when any children or any child is healthy and happy, they can function a lot more. They can learn a lot better. They want to do better instead of just feeling helpless. It helps the mentality of every child, and if we can get to that point, then just imagine what we can do, when they get older.
Great.
you know Provide the
Yeah.
seed, provide the land, provide the areas, provide the tools, or make tools or something. We need to, whatever we need to. This is where it comes in, where we tap into ourselves. Okay, I don't have what I would like to have, but what do I have that I can use until I can get what I need?
Okay. Yes. So like we run a program every Saturday we call the Children Reading Room,
Mm-hmm.
and we have children from various communities that come to learn how to read and write, and we tell
Mm-hmm.
stories and play games. We feed them, and things like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and one of the reasons we're doing that is to encourage the parents to send their children to school. What is true, many parents cannot afford doing that because they lack jobs, But
Mm-hmm.
we try to do our utmost best. I mean, our utmost, so that I mean they can see what it means for a
Right.
child to go to school, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah, and a lot of our surroundings here, you find many kids are not in school. If you
Yeah.
ask the parent, I do not have money to send my child to school. But it's quite important that these children go to school. And as a parent, you have to take some responsibility not to send the child in the street to go and sell and bring in money so that you can be fed.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things we are so much challenged with in Liberia, and we
Mm-hmm.
are finding means to that. So
Mm-hmm.
some parents, in fact, we say, hey, okay, I don't have a job. So we say, okay, come, we can train you. And we got this computer school or
Mm-hmm.
computer training section, whereas we are empowering parents to learn, how to use the computer, and they can use that means to empower themselves. Because if you learn the skill set on how to use a computer, you can organize a desktop publishing place where you can sit and type letters for people,
Exactly.
yes, and you can get an income. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we are empowering some parents who do not have other means of creating livelihood. So it's actually a challenging thing, but I know it's a global crisis. Yeah, everywhere the issue of money
Mm-hmm.
is something that is, yeah, is a problem. So a lot of people, when they hear the United States, the thing is heavy and everything is there for free. So I would, I would, I would love when if you can just talk a little more on how challenged the U.S. is. I swear.
Woo! I had to laugh at that one. You know, a lot of people seem to, this is just basically coming from my standpoint. I can't speak
Mm,
for the total United States. But
yeah.
when I'm told that the dollar is really a note and it's not a dollar, that brings a lot of questions in. That
Mm,
kind of like, what do you mean it's a note? It's a note. It's not a dollar anymore. The dollar, the value of the dollar has changed over the years. So, um, it's basically, have you heard the expression robbing Peter to pay Paul?
hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say that we're on the same level as every other country. Again, my personal opinion, we're just trying to make it and figure out how to get back on track. But you fake it till you make it. You make it look good on the outside, but in the inside, you're going, how in God's creation am I going to get through this? So that's, I think, if I were to say anything about the United States, it's a country that will stand and fight as much as it can, but it also has its own struggles. Um, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with homelessness, we're dealing with joblessness. So it's nothing new. Um, but the United States will put up a good front. It's strong in heart. It's strong in that, and you do have a lot of people here who will, okay, I don't have a job, but this is what I like to do, and if I can turn that around and make a dollar out of it to help me eat for the day, then I'm good. You have people who sit on the corners and they're musicians by heart, so they make up. You have kids will take pots and anything that makes a sound, and will make a drum set out of that. They will sit downtown and they will drum, make
Hmm.
beautiful music. I mean, literally, and people are walking by and they're paying the money. You have people who, whatever talent they have, they're artists. They're figuring out, they're getting chalk from somewhere, and they're creating art paintings, with chalk or whatever they can do with their fingers in their hands, and they're selling these to people and they're buying them. you know um it's like, I feel like, and this is for anyone, everywhere, if you have a passion for anything and it can bless someone with it, even with a gift. Say, for instance, if you are an artist and you want to paint something and you have that gift to do it with menial means, and it's beautiful, and you can make, I mean, a lot of people love art. Is one of the things that speaks language. It goes beyond, races or anything. It's one of those love languages. Art is just phenomenal. And if you know how to do that, you can paint someone or do whatever you need to do, and they can bless someone with a birthday gift or something. That's money in your pocket. It's so many different ways that we are, as individuals, creative, and we can make money. So if I were to say anything about the United States, that's the one thing that stands strong. We may be going through the same thing a lot of other countries are dealing with, but we do know that once we realize, okay, I know how to do this, so let me see what I can use to help someone else with this, so I can get money in my pocket to make it through every day.
Okay. Yes. Thanks for sharing that experience, because a lot of us in Africa do not know that there are homeless people in the US. We think everyone lives in a mansion. Yeah, we think everyone has job that they can choose. Oh, I want to do this job. I don't want to do this, and yeah, we yes, and that's the mindset that a lot of African uh, in Africa carry, that
Mhm.
the U.S. is a heaven. Yeah, so thanks for that clarity.
You're
I'm, I'm
welcome.
I'm serious. Yeah,
I believe
yeah,
you.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you asked that question, though. That's a really good question, because a lot of people have said that the United States. I can't wait to get to the United States, and I'm like, in the back of my head, why? Look, I want to get to your country. Like, you're going to get here, and I want to get there, and you end up finding, like, wait a minute, I thought this was like,
Yeah.
no, we're
And
going through it all just like you, but we just have that mindset that, you know, I'm
mhm.
going to keep on trying to make it. I'm going to do what I can to do to make it. Hey, a lot of people I know that have come from different countries have come over to the United States and have dealt with different traumas and whatever and whatnot. And they're like, wait a minute, this is not the United States that I heard about. Well, you've been told a fib. I'm like,
Yeah,
we have our
and
struggles. It's a good country. I still love it because it's beautiful. But on the real side, we're dealing with the same things that all the other countries are dealing with. We have the same struggles. We have the same fights. We have the same heart. We want the same things.
yeah,
Mhm.
thanks a lot for such a clarity. So
You're welcome.
yeah, we have just 10 more minutes to go, and if you have any other thing to discuss, can you just speak it out?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but well, yeah, well, we will you want to tell us uh, um I mean, we could close by saying something about how you can help people who are involved with this trauma, for instance, PTSD, and how you think you can help them. We have a couple of people that are our followers. They come to our programs every week, and
Mhm.
maybe we could ask you to find a time and come and help talk to them. Live. Yeah. So
Definitely.
yes, if you are open to that, you can make a commitment if possible.
Sure. I would be able to. It would be on the weekends, because during the daytime I'm at work. So usually I'm in there. By the time I get off work, it's evening time where you are. So if I do anything, it would possibly be on the weekends. That way, in the daytime, you guys can be able to communicate.
Like Friday, Saturday, which one works?
Saturday is probably better. Saturdays in the daytime, I'm available. Saturdays are better because yeah, Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays I'm in class with Enoya, but then after that I'm fine. Um, but Saturdays and Sundays are much better.
Okay, great,
Really. And I
great.
would love to speak to everyone to, give them some pointers to help them help themselves. Because the one thing we want to do is teach everyone to, like they tell you on airplanes, put your oxygen mask on first before
Mhm.
you help someone else. Because, and that kind of sounds selfish, but being honest about it, it is because being a mother, and if you have children, the first thing you're going to want to do is take care of your children first.
Of
But,
course.
okay, who's going to take care of your children if you're not here?
True.
That's a huge point. So, yes, take care of yourself first. Heal first before you even think about having a child. Get
Oh yeah.
care of yourself because how it doesn't make any sense. You're going through it. So now you're bringing someone else is going through it. Now you're both going through it. Why?
Yes. Like you are in the river and getting dry, and you go in and hold the present from the front. You're
Mm-hmm,
both going to get
mm-hmm,
dry. Yes.
exactly. So, yes, I would love to
Yeah.
help others to try to figure out who they are initially. That was one of
All right.
my initial goals. And when I first started on my women meetings years ago, well, the first question I asked them in any meeting we had was, "Who are you?" Not what you want to be, but who are you right now? Who are you in all your flaws? Who are you in all of your weaknesses? Who are you, and where do you see yourself right now? That's a hard question for so many people to be
Mhm,
honest about.
mhm, mhm.
But that's the first step into healing, facing
Okay.
yourself. Hmm.
Hmm. I learned a new thing. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Right. Right. Okay. To our followers, we are on Wings on the Air Africa, which happens to be a Wings for Life International show that is hosted in Liberia, West Africa. And today I have with me Coach Reverend Mevina for who is talking about parenting and talking about healing and all of that. Uh, Coach Mevina, we will love to have your parting comment as we have already exhausted the time. So can you just give a parting statement?
Yes, I would love to tell everyone to let love lead you in everything that you do. Literally, love is the guiding force in everything we do. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to do. But when you can finally let go of when we can let go of our egos and we can let go of what's going on outside of us and we stop paying attention to all the negativity, then love comes. Love is not as easy as we make it. I mean, sorry, not as hard as we make it. It can be hard because of the ego, but it's the one thing that literally is still to this day from the beginning of time that can transition anything from darkness to light. So if you have nothing else in your heart, have love.
Thanks a million. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Thank you for, yes, accepting it and allowing us to have such a wonderful conversation with you. We
I
look forward to seeing you again and
Yes,
again.
definitely. I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
So we close.
Okay, good.
Have a wonderful time.
All right.
Bye-bye.